boat.
my real job I go back to.
Yo, stop. You know what? I've been hearing about this real job for a long time, Chris.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
What do you think he does?
They say he's got a roofing business.
Yeah.
I've never seen him wear an Alex roofing shirt. You look up Alex roofing on the internet, doesn't exist. I think it's all. I think it's all a scam. To be honest with you, I think he's hiding.
Would you like to bet
taxes.
$100 in front of the public on that?
No, you know what, Pete?
Alex roofing site does not exist.
We've bet with you before.
$100. Take it
When I
or leave
fished
it.
at Cold State, we bet with you before.
Trevor
You didn't
can
make
look
good
it up
on your bet,
online.
so I'm done
before
betting
this,
with you.
Before this is over,
No.
we can have the $100.
Listen, I was giving you a shameless plug. If
Is
anyone's
this west?
looking,
West, come westerly to me. Let's talk coho fishing.
oh yeah, I'm excited about that. It's gonna be good.
I like.
Coho fishing?
I love coho fishing is one of the funnest things. I think kings are overrated some days. You know, I really do. A lot of guys like the kings.
They're
but
bigger.
cohos,
Don't get me wrong, they're bigger, but
they are,
cohos
but
are
they're
so
just
much fun. They beat you up.
They're a nice change up.
Yeah, if you want to kill 12 cohos, you better hook 36.
Oh.
Welcome to Alex
See
Roofing Company.
That's.
It doesn't say Pete Alex. There could be any Alex out there with a roofing company.
Would you like my business card next? But that'll be another $100.
No,
to pull
there's
us
not
out.
good reviews. Of course not. Guy looks homeless running the place. You know, his hair. I mean, if you're gonna run a professional business like that, you should look like a professional, Pete.
He was trib fishing. That's the trib look.
Oh, I know the dude.
It was a center pin.
That was the dude look.
Dude, it was the center
Yeah.
pin time.
Yeah. Were you center pinning? Do you have a center pin?
Can't tell you.
You're not a center pinner. You have.
I have a center pin.
Yeah,
rig.
it's probably your kids. You took away from.
I have a center pin rig.
Really?
I do.
Do you use it?
No.
Yeah, I know. It's too sophisticated for you. It's way advanced.
The casting was overly complicated.
No,
for
it's
me.
not, Pete. It's really not.
For me, just
Pete.
for me.
Oh well, I can understand.
Let's talk about cohos again.
Yeah, back to cohos.
Back to cohos.
What do you like about fishing cohos, Pete?
Me?
Yeah.
An unpredictable fish. Okay, you can catch them high, you can catch them low. They bite really close to the boat. You can catch them on a variety of tactics, but not like everything. Like it's really more specific driven, like things that they really like. But they're just fun to catch. They're unpredictable. You can catch them 12 feet behind the boat on short divers or on the surface, and then you can catch them 100 down. They're just exciting. They come in quick. You can get 2 or 3 at a time. Boom, boom, boom. Then this is fun.
When they set up together in a school and you go through, it's mayhem. You can't keep all the rods in the water. There's just things going everywhere, and people are losing them. You're just like, all right, try this one. Just try this one. There's just rods going everywhere.
They're just fun.
Yeah.
Kings are great. Don't get me wrong, but cohos are the fun side.
And they're delicious.
And it's diverse. They're good eating.
Very, very good eating.
And like last year, and I think this year's gonna be the same. We have more of a mild winter. And I think they're gonna be. They were really nice size. They were really nice size last year. They weren't 17 or 18-inch little fish. They were these nice, chunky 21 to 25 inch,
7 pounds,
quality fish that bit hard, fight hard, twirl around, throw your gear.
It's fun.
And yeah, it's one of those things too. And to get to bring those home and throw them on the grill in the summer, it's good eats.
Yeah. How do you like to cook your fish, Pete?
Well, one more thing to add about the coast. Another thing, like us West End guys, we have this little window. You kind of get the best of both worlds.
I do.
I only have like half the window. They're like a westerly fish in the spring, kind of like the Lake Erie walleyes. They kind of start out in the West End where it's a little more fertile, blah, blah, blah. So we get this crack period time to catch these cohos. And then by mid-June-ish, they start to migrate. Some already migrate towards Casey Land at the east end. They go out in the middle lake, and they're a little harder to find unless you really commit to it. They just kind of able to get these fish, and then they're most of them are gone by mid-June-ish. So,
and we don't see them on our end. It'll probably be the middle of August. You'll hear, somebody got a coho, and then somebody got a coho, and next thing you know, the trains arrive. The coho train has arrived to Mexico Bay, and it's a blast.
I'm kind of envious. I see some of the cohos that catches. They're really a pretty fish. They get that a bronze. They get the hook kite. They get the kite going on.
Nose.
They're really a really good looking fish. They fight like heck, So I'm not like, he's showing these cohos. I'm like, we're catching kings and some steelhead, but like occasional coho. So I'm a little envious. Like I just want to take a ride up there.
I've invited him down several times, Chris, but he just doesn't come down. He's probably busy running that imaginary roofing company.
That's true.
So when they get to you, they're getting towards the end.
Yeah.
So what time of year is that when they get to
mid-August, September? And when we see them, it's funny. Like I get to catch them on west end of the lake, and they're, like he said, 20 to 25 inches. Probably, I'm going to guess them 4 to 7 pounds, the average out here. By the time they get down to us, they've gained 5, 6 pounds. Some of them even bigger. 2 years ago, I had one 19 pounds.
We caught, a side note, our biggest one we ever caught, we caught a couple 17 and changes in the spring, which were really big spring cohos. But last
Oh, yeah, you got a
first
big
week
one.
of summer, we took a beautiful 21-pound coho. It was
That's
like
huge.
That's
just not a mark on the fish. It's going on the wall. A beautiful 21-pound
Yeah.
legit fish. It ate a stud rig.
So what do
Yeah.
they do? That's my question. What do they do from the time they leave Wilson
Eat.
to the time they get to you? Where are they eating?
Offshore, blue water. The one time we fished the Canadian tournament and the inside water had gone bad and we ran offshore. We ended up fishing about 22 miles, kind of on the Canadian side, like off Oak Orchard. And we had 4 or 5 cohos out there in the middle of the lake. And that would have been maybe mid-June.
Mid-June, yeah. Third week of June.
But they're on their way. I think they go to the middle of the lake. They find, bait out there and they gorge. I mean, they have no problem eating.
Right, we're not finding them mixed with the kings or the king spots, like inside at 200, 120. Like, it's rare to ever catch a summer coho inside at 200 feet, it seems.
Yep.
Like, they're out there in La La Land.
And we don't see them out in our end. We've a few spring cohos you'll see that we have down there, but not like you have down here. And then those big ones just, like I said, mid-August show up. And when they show up, you can tell. Your flies start coming in all twisted up.
Yeah, they do this.
They spin a lot.
wad up
I mean,
your
they will
flies.
wad your fly up and just swim away.
Is
fun.
there any way to find those fish when they're out there? I mean, is it just basically they're just out in the middle of nowhere and it's just got to luck in them? Or how do you track down fish that are out there in that
Temperature
deep?
breaks.
You know what we're gonna do?
You can find
Me and
breaks.
Pete are going to put balloons on them this spring. Probably, little balloons, and we'll let them come back and let them swim. Maybe 50 feet of line. They're in the top 50 most times.
Yes.
So we'll give 75 feet, and then just look for red balloons. If you find the red balloons, cohos are there. But honestly, I don't know if you can find them. I mean, it's a big lake. Let's be honest.
Right.
You could spend a lot of time out there, and I honestly don't know. I mean,
They're out there on that border. I mean, we've caught them going over there for the tight lines tournaments where, like, we'll run across to pre-fish, then we'll get across to the Canadian line, and then we'll deploy a program just to eliminate water and see what's there. And we've gotten some really nice cohos out in middle of the lake, literally. But they're not enough weight to do well in that tournament. But we catch them out there in La La Land. It's a long boat ride for a charter to do specifically. But
oh yeah,
I mean, that's process of elimination. They're not inside here. They're not over here. So that means they're out in the middle, usually in the top 50 feet.
All right, let's get back to spring cohos. Fish we can actually fish.
Yeah.
What's your spring coho program look like? What's it look like when you're going to get set up and go chase
Orange.
fish?
A lot of orange.
A lot of orange.
Probably my go-to rig is a double crush, a 6-inch Dreamweaver double crush orange spin doctor, and a small fly.
What kind of fly?
8-inch. A Dreamweaver peanut fly, normally in the beginning, and then I do the modified fly. I'll nip a full size like atomic fly. I'll nip about an inch off that as the season progresses and the fish size increases and the bait increases. I'll modify a regular fly, chop it down. Well, I call it a modified fly. But those are good. We fish a lot of surface baits. The rattling thin fins are actually these bright orange red bombers up on the surface. And then we'll run 4 divers. Typically, we've got 2 deeper ones for kings, but we'll run monofilament divers out to the side with, again, these spin doctors or super slims, orange back spoons, hot colors, and then a lot of sliders with super slims on our downriggers. So,
How about you?
Dreamweaver 6-inch spinnies, Mirage fly from Atomic.
good fly, great
Yeah,
fly.
it's a really good fly. I think some Atomic peanuts. He does a hammer peanut that I do really good with. Some super slims, some stinger spoons, like he said, all bright colors, oranges. My diver, I actually have a unique rig. It's called the Sneaky Pete rig. So I went over to Pete's house one day. He said he had some Taloras and some Dakotas that he was, getting rid of, and I had bought another boat. So I went over his basement, and after I bought what I bought, I caught my eye, and I said, Pete, what's that? And it's this beautiful 8-inch orange spin doctor that he had made in hopes of being able to catch fish on it, and just did not happen for him, which happens a lot, But And I'm not just to Pete, to many of us think, oh, yeah, it's going to be a crusher, and it doesn't work.
We talked about kind of that yesterday. Works on one boat, but doesn't work on the other boat. But
I said, Pete, can I get them? He goes, yeah, just give me $100 for them. I said, Pete, $50 a Dreamweaver? He goes, a custom. So I give him 100. I go out in the lake. I put it out. It's not in the water for 10 minutes, singing. Coho. Put it back out. We
had a bet actually that day. Yeah. First person to get that rig to go.
Because now he's going to use it because I'm putting in the water.
Oh,
it's been benched for 5 years. I was like, the dust came off, a couple dead spiders and stuff. And now he's going to run it. Coho. Put it back out. King. Put it back out. Coho. It's been one of my best rigs out there. I continue to use it, especially when I have him near me. I like the lot because he uses binoculars a lot. He's always sneaky Pete, peeking to see what's going on. So I make sure I have that out in the water. But it's really good on a diver with a full-size Atomic live line Mirage fly. That's what I do the best. I was curious if it would work on the East End, and it 100% did. It was taking Kings and Cohos down there too. They like it. Call it Sneaky Pete. I think Fat Nancy's going to have it on their shelves, and I'm hoping maybe Pete will give it a try again this year.
True story. I couldn't get that rig to fire for me, and he scooped it up, and he made the magic happen on the dirty.
I got half of my money back that I had to pay for these overpriced attractors, but I'm glad I did because you know what? The fish I caught, the client smiled, so it was worth the hundo. Yeah,
that's what I wanted to ask you. Is like, what is that? How does that program change down in the East End late in the year compared to what you're doing out of Wilson?
Normal years, we get to fish the cohos with some, we call them rock stars. It's a stinger chip. It's red. We'll run a green crinkle, mirage fly behind that, hammer fly, stud fly. Really depends what that coho wants that day. But we use a lot of red chips down there. Lately, our temperatures have been so deep with the weather we've had that we're fishing, and this is going to sound crazy, 11-inch chips, stinger chips, and flies, 36-inch leads from Atomic, 120, wherever the temp is. Most of the last couple of years, our coho has been 120, 130 feet down, 3 feet off the ball. And they are down there stacked. And when you go through, rigger, and you get them on coppers.
What kind of speed down there?
2.4, 2.5, just with flies.
Aggressive, kind of an aggressive presentation.
Well, it's an 11-inch chip, 3 feet off the ball. She's spinning. And
it's aggressive.
Yeah.
Very aggressive.
They like it. They like it. It's wild.
We wouldn't know because we don't have very many cohos at our end of the lake.
I invite Pete down. Here's your invitation live, Pete. If you'd like to come down and fish the East End of Lake Ontario, I'll even give you a place to stay.
I'll come down.
I'll bring your kids.
I'll come down.
Good father-son trip, Yep. Yeah.
So that's a question I have for you guys, and mostly for you, but maybe you can answer this too. So in the spring, when you're fishing in Wilson, those fish are all over the water column. You got surface flies out. You got stuff down deep. And now you're telling me at the end of the year, they're way down at the bottom.
They're temperature related. So they still like temperature even before they go to spawn up the river. When our temperature gets pushed in, like last year, we were catching our kings in 45, 50 feet of water and 60-degree water. If you wanted to catch the cohos, you slid out to 70 feet of water and you found 56, 55-degree water, and your cohos were there piled up. But with the east end of that lake, if we get any type of west blow, our temperature starts to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And last year, by the time the fish showed up, we had maybe 8 days where we could target them in that 80-foot range and less. And the next thing you know, a wind came 3 days, half of them went up the river, and our temp was 140 feet down. And it makes, it's tough to fish them like that. It really is, you can get them.
So we've had a really warm winter. There's really no ice on Lake Erie. How do you guys think that's going to affect that Wilson bite this spring?
I'm excited.
Advanced fish probably will be spread out right out of the gate. Like you might have kings all the way at the east end of the lake. You might have them from Canada to maybe Oswego out of the gate. And which isn't a bad thing. It really spreads the pressure on them. They don't get beat up as much. They get really beat up at the west end of Lake Ontario in the spring. A lot of casualties.
Oh yeah.
So when they're spread out, the mortality of the fish isn't as drastic. More people have a shot at them early. Instead of these guys on the east end beating brown trout up or jonesing for Lakers, bam, they got kings to catch for their customers, which is
it's always a cool surprise. You're going along and you're catching browns and you're fighting. I mean, there's some good fights to the browns. You're using 10-pound tests, and a 9-foot medium light rod. And next thing you know, it takes off and it's not a normal fight, and it dumps 400 feet of line pretty quick. It's a It's a fun time. It's a fun thing to see on the boat.
Generally, the fish are going to be bigger. You're going to see that their bellies are more like
Rick's.
more like Rick and Jackie's belly. Okay, that was pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got him, Pete.
We might pay for that one later, but that's right.
It's all right. He's married
But
now.
they're
No.
eating. Their bellies are fuller. Usually, traditional winters we start catching them beginning of May. They're like lean. I'm like, you don't even find bait in these fish yet. They're very skinny fish, lean. They're healthy, but they're just coming out of that deep water and they're not acclimated to gorging on alewives. So when they come out early, they're starting the whole thing early, whether it's emeralds or mostly alewives. Everything's advanced.
Smelt.
Fish are bigger. The cohos will be bigger. The fish are spread out further. We might be fishing 300 or 400 foot of water in early May versus 60 to 120 right out of the gate. So that's one thing about fishing. You never know what's going to happen and how weather, wind, temperatures affect it is have us all thinking. But we'll know pretty soon.
So spread out the fish, spread out the pressure too.
I think the bait's happy this year. It didn't have a hard winter, so you're going to see some healthy bait.
And then we'll go back to the cohos a little. So fishing out of Wilson is generally pretty doggone good, but not always.
No, it can be tough.
We have to grind. So back to the coho program, guys who are more adverse at catching more than just kings, right? They run a dual program. They help fill their cooler, generate bites for their clients, which cohos are a quality fish. That's where guys just are going to grind kings all day might come in with 4, 5, or 6 kings, right? We're going to get our 12 fish. 6 might be king, 6 might be coho, but we're going to get our fish. We're going to provide a good bite for our clients because we're going to tune up the cohos. We're going to take what the lake gives you. If it's not practical to go out and try and catch 12 kings, which it isn't always, we're gonna take what the lake gives us, and if it's a nice mixed box of kings and cohos, that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Bend the rods.
People
didn't come for a boat ride.
Put smiles on the people's face.
Yep.
No one likes a boat ride unless you're a sailboater.
Well, Pete, I appreciate you coming on.
Real quick.
And the other night, doing the cohos thing too, it was awesome having you do that for us too. It was fun.
It was fun.
I like having you guys on and getting an opportunity to let the captains ask some questions too. It's great. I think it's great for the viewers and listeners. Casey, I'll let you throw one more.
Yeah,
we've got a guy
quick
here. The forage base for Russell isn't quite what it is for the rest of us.
Sure. Oh, well,
We'll
I can
talk
tell you a
about
little
that
bit what's going on there too. But
I mean, look, Russell's pretty skinny. You
Yeah.
can tell the forge base is light coming from the west.
So I
mean,
fished on
look at Russell. He's a good
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
That guy's pretty lean.
yeah, it's cold in Wisconsin. not a
He
good
looks
bait.
like a spring king coming out of late April.
Right.
Here's what we got, Pete. I got to ask you. I did fish on your boat one time. You allowed me to be a co-captain mate, and that was a great time.
Yeah.
And I noticed one thing. Did you ever lay a rod on the deck of the boat?
Voodoo. You don't lay rods. Well, that's what we have rod holders for.
Oh,
Or a customer to hold a rod.
Yep.
We don't lay them on the boat.
you
because
wouldn't lay it on the lay it like down.
it's like an OSHA safety hazard. That's the roofing part of me coming out.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a,
that
it's,
coming.
an-
Yeah, yeah.
it's a trip hazard.
Right.
A customer could trip over it and do a face plant, or I could
Right.
right into the rigger. It could step on a rod and break, $150 Tellure rod, which
Right.
is a no-no. It's actually a minus for that day's profits for a trader.
Yeah, you're gonna lose on that one.
So no, rule of thumb is the rods, when you're done or the angler's done, you put the rod, stick it in the rod holder and capture the rod.
I was just curious. And in Wisconsin, they don't have rod holders, or they don't use them like
Free
that.
for all?
Well, Russell's on my boat, and first fish we catch, he takes the rod right on the back of the gunnel. And I'm looking at it, and I'm not saying anything because he's in his first 2 weeks at CFA Wisconsin.
And it's back on
Two
his
rods, crisscrossed, net on the floor across them.
boat. Did you text him or message him?
Oh my
though?
God, I blew him up on
Okay,
Facebook.
all right.
Yeah,
Well,
qualified
Good-
angler like him.
good
I mean,
co-
as good a
good-
fisherman he is. You imagine how better it'd be if he didn't have rods breaking all the time because they got snapped or he didn't stepped on.
good coaches need to correct their students and their the athletes.
I'm bringing him
You gotta
back
let
this
them know.
year, and I'm going to correct him.
All right.
Yeah. If you
Well-
see it though, I want you to correct him too, as a friend.
I just want to say, one last thing, Chris, before I know we're going to hold him up, since it's public, it's videotaped. If he comes in with a broken rod on your boat, does he have to pay for it this year?
Hell yeah, definitely.
what?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
All right.
Him and his mate. I'm taking her out of their pay.
Chris, that's
Doc, you can
documented.
take that to the bank, Chris.
We will put it out there
Yeah.
for the whole world to know.
Yep. And I'm telling you what, I'm gonna tell my clients I'm gonna give them $50 off the trip if they ever see a rod with a pitcher laying down. So
Don't forget, submit your resume to Doug at Fish
I will.
USA. Tell Rob the bad news if it happens.
Rob wouldn't be mad about it.
Okay.
He wants to see everything be happy. He's you know what? It's enough business for everybody, and that's his motto.
You're fun.
You're fun too, buddy.
We'll see you.
All right.
Thanks,
Month and a half.
Yep.
Chris,
Appreciate
I'm
thank
gonna
you.
see you later.
Yeah.
All right.
Take care.